Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boss, and joining me as always is Musum.
Hello.
If you haven't listened to the show here yet, we're still a little brand new here in the TVGP free feed, the public feed. We're here to talk about RPGs and similar types of things every month. We gather once a month here, and similar things might mean visual novels or sort of roguelikes every once in a while. Because sometimes they cross over into RPG territory, but it's not all just here's our rigid definition of RPG, and those are the only things we're going to talk about. We'll talk about some other stuff too here and there, but with an RPG focus here. So, with that note, what have you been playing this past month?
Well, I have been sick and working a bunch of overtime, so not a lot. I'll continue my non-RPG Alan Wake cast thing. So I beat Alan Wake 2.
Oh, nice.
It is an excellent game. That also, no spoilers, but most people will probably want to do a second run through once they finish the first one.
Okay.
So I am on my second run through. They let you carry over your the character Saga. You can equip charms on her, so you can carry over all your charms that you'd previously unlocked, and then all your weapon upgrades for both characters you carry through.
Oh, nice.
So you kind of just start the game, and then at a certain moment, like you can finally access your stash and get everything. That game is still excellent. I'm finding, because it is kind of a explore around and collect things, like it's got that kind of aspect to it. And I'm finding that even on my second playthrough, when I don't want to do that, I'm still doing that. So it's taking a bit longer than it should, but I'm getting there, and I'm on, like I have the best chapter in the game loaded up. Ready to go. I kind of made a hard save so I could just replay it anytime.
And they actually, I think it was just this past week they patched in Chapter Select too. There's a patch that came out. So if you want to replay that specific chapter over and over again, then I think you could just pick it from the main menu.
So just for new players, just non-spoiler tip. There comes a moment when the game says, hey, you can switch back and forth at any time between Alan Wake and Saga Anderson. That is the moment where if you select Alan Wake, you will then go play the best chapter in the game.
Okay.
So
you can just do it right away.
Yeah, like it's pretty early on, and it is incredibly entertaining. But anyway, just minor note. But moving on, I'm sure we'll talk about this next month, where hopefully I will have beat it and have a final opinion. But
right.
Right now, that game's amazing. It is very scary. I don't know that there's, like, I think I read they were trying to give you some option to take some of the jump scares or something like that out. But
yeah, there's some accessibility stuff in the that patch as well, and it's mostly surrounding like flashing lights and lightning, where it's a lot of not only kind of flashing effects, but also trying to reduce some of the jump scare elements of some of that stuff.
they kind of communicate hints about the story with some of that stuff, so I'd be a little nervous to turn some of that off, honestly.
Right.
But like they do this thing where as you're walking around, you will get flash images of different characters.
Oh, okay. Kind of like how Control did.
Yes, exactly like that.
Gotcha.
Most of the time it's Scratch, but sometimes it's not, which always makes for a fascinating, like, thought rabbit hole.
Right.
But that game's got a lot to it. I know their first DLC is supposed to be the Lakeside DLC, which will be Lakeside. Is that a spoiler? Let's just, like, there's a lot of Control crossover with this game, and I think
sure.
Lakeside one will be the Control focused one.
Okay.
But I don't know. I could be wrong. Who knows? So anyway, other than that, a lot of my time has been spent like attempting to watch TV and playing something that doesn't challenge my brain a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, that brings in the next two games, which is Vampire Survivors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I bought the DLC that I should have written the name down for.
Emergency meeting. I
Yes.
always want to call it the Among Us DLC, and I'm like, wait, it's not called Among Us. It's called Emergency Meeting.
Um, so I played like a little bit of that in the main game, but then I went back to Adventures. So the thing that Adventures does that I really like a lot is um, your upgrades are very limited. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're kind of in this cool resource bind where you go into a level and you're going to spend all your upgrades on like, well, crap, I need at least a revive because I can't survive long enough. I need some regen with this character because he just doesn't have enough health or shields or something. So
Right.
you'll go and you'll spend on that, and then after you unlock a couple other characters, you're like, well, I need this character to play this level, but he has completely different needs stat wise. So I got to
Mm.
reset my upgrades and kind of choose things. So everything's a bit more fluid, and it's fun having limitations in that game, especially like when you've kind of conquered the main game.
Yeah.
Because by then you know how everything works, and you
Right.
kind of know like how you want to play and what you can get away with. So
It's kind of
um,
fun starting the game where you're like, oh yeah, I died. Oh wait, I don't have any revives baked in. Oh, that's the end of my run. Okay, yeah, all right, yeah, that's how the beginning of this game is. I forgot. All right, here we go.
and I'm not to the surprise or emergency meeting surprise party, whatever the heck it's called.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not to that adventure yet. I'm on the adventure right before it. I'm just kind of just want to go through them all just cause.
Yeah, there's
But
4 of them right now, right? There's like it's essentially like the base game and then the 3 DLC packs, right?
yep.
Okay.
And I haven't looked into the emergency meeting DLC a whole lot, but I think you may unlock some of those Among Us elements in the main game through it, but I might be wrong. Um,
Oh, through the adventure?
the adventure, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't
'Cause
I've only done the first adventure, the one with Poe. I haven't done the other ones yet. So that'd be interesting.
yeah, like I played the emergency meeting level,
Yeah.
and I couldn't quite figure out how to get some of the related achievements to it, so I kind of suspect it's that, but
Mm.
I could be wrong. I will find out one of these days.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't finished that DLC yet either cuz it's always like, "Oh, you do a run of it and then you look at the list of unlockables and it's like, "Yep, here's 30 more things." It's like, "Oh boy. Okay. Yep, we're just going to keep going through the checklist." I love it.
yeah, yeah. Um, so then I played Halls of Torment.
Mm.
Uh, this is the Diablo-esque uh, Vampire Survivors game. I forget what they call these auto shooters.
I
Uh,
call them bullet heavens cuz like
Bullet
it's the
Heavens. Ooh,
opposite of bullet hell.
that's true. That's a good name.
Yeah.
Bullet Heaven. Um, they've added a lot of content to Halls of Torment. They have a level they're about to release soon. Um, before I think I'd unlocked like 4 character classes, and now I unlocked like, I don't know, 5 or 6 more or something like that. Um, I, Halls of Torment, just because it's been a while since I've talked about it on here, um, it has a it, it has a cool ecosystem to it. Every character, you're kind of presented this grid. It looks like a tactics grid or something, but it's just a list of goals, and as you complete them, it'll unlock the surrounding goals, kind of like a sphere grid works on Final Fantasy or something.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
and that'll unlock like new traits you can upgrade for all characters. It'll unlock weapons, new characters, just a huge variety of things. And they have these trees for the levels, for the characters, and I think they have an overall game one.
Mm.
And then within the level, a lot of the time, like there's a final boss. Like once you reach the 30-minute mark, like all the other enemies disappear, the final boss shows up, and then you have to beat him. Um, But like some of the bosses won't trigger unless you've fulfilled certain conditions in the levels. Like one of them, you have to find like 2 scrolls or 2 books or something like that before the time gets out. All of them you have to beat like the preceding bosses. Like at
Oh,
certain time
interesting.
increments, they'll show up. Certain levels have bosses that just hang out in a certain corner of a stage. So you just got to kind of go to that corner and find them. Otherwise, you may not get it.
That's interesting.
It's it's a pretty good game. Like when I first played it, it felt a little bare bones. But oh right, and I guess on screen now they were showing the inventory system. So you can equip, gloves, helmet, some rings, an amulet, and armor and boots.
Huh.
And you don't start out with anything. And what you do is you find a guy who basically is like, hey, I'm going to hang out at the top of this well at camp. And if you find something, bring it up the well. And so, as you find something in a level, you can go to the well and then give it to him. And then he'll charge you money to, unlock it for any of your characters. And set up like loadouts and stuff. It's it's very different in that, like, whereas Vampire Survivors, you have like, I don't know, 50 or 60 weapons you choose from. And this one, that is
Right.
not the case. Your main character has a power that they are letting go off, and then you will find weapons throughout the level, but they are very like limited. Like most of what you are upgrading is different stats.
Okay.
And you usually want to pick stuff that'll, benefit the character stat wise, but like you're probably only going to find an additional like 3 or 4 weapons, and that's only if you make it to the 30-minute mark. Like when you first start out playing, you may not find any.
Yeah.
And they are not like the weapons you find will not like completely decimate the screen like you're used to. Like most of the decimation will come from you upgrading your traits and getting like multi-strike or like different things like that. Although some of them are pretty good. Like they have this one that just shoots this giant firewall in front of you that feels pretty good. And
Oh, nice. It also
like,
feels very Diablo-esque too, of just like,
yes,
here's a wall of fire. It's like, yeah, I played Diablo 1. All right.
yeah, got that Diablo text in it. It's very
Yep.
Diablo aesthetic. It's a good one. If you are, I forget the one that the TVGP crew has always recommended, even though it's on
Oh
my wish.
yeah, Spirit Hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say like if you are ready for a new Bullet Heaven and want something besides Spirit Hunters and Vampire Survivors, then definitely give Halls of Torment a shot, like, because it's a good one.
It is.
Yeah.
Do you know if this is still in early access? Because I'm surprised.
Probably.
I feel like it is because I'm surprised it's not on consoles yet. Because it feels like a game that would probably do really well on consoles.
It's I bet it would. I'm
Yeah.
surprised too now that you've said that, but I haven't looked into the team. I think I want to say it was Justin from the Tiltcast who just randomly bought it for me one day.
Mm.
Uh, and
I
he
sort
keeps
of.
track of indie Steam games much more than I do.
I always sort of assumed that with these games that they're a small studio anyway. Um, I don't know if that's fair or not, but I feel like there's sort of an inclination for teams of games like these to be kind of smaller.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just Vampire Survivors talking.
I, I don't know. It's weird because it's in a way you'd think they wouldn't be too hard to make, but in another way, like I feel like there's a lot of thought
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot that goes into these, especially with like I don't know. I don't know enough about making games, I think, to comment.
But
I don't know enough about making these specific types of
right,
games to really comment on it,
it
I
definitely
guess.
seems like these games are kind of live and die by their design, especially because you're going to be playing them dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of times. So
Yeah.
the kind of core gameplay and the the slow progression through the game has to be tuned really well. Otherwise, it's just not going to feel right in that way. That's hard to quantify. But in the way, like, at least for me, like Spirit Hunters and Vampire Survivors, when it nails whatever that secret sauce is, it feels really great.
Yeah. And to be fair, the first time I played this last year, like I enjoyed it, but I was like, yeah, this is pretty bare bones.
Right.
So, and this last time, like they did a big patch last fall at some point, and I think that improved the game like immensely. Like
Nice.
there's a lot to love here now, and I think some of it was just minor tweaks that it needed.
Mm-hmm.
But they're continuing to support it, and they'll have there's only I think 4 levels right now, and they're going to add a 5th one here in the next month.
Oh, that's good.
So it sounds like they're pretty actively supporting it. So hopefully we'll see some console releases for it soon. But
yeah, hopefully.
Anyway, so that is all I've been playing. So Boston, what do you got?
All right. First up, I have Remnant 2. So we're still playing through that whenever we can. The scheduling has been a little bit difficult for our Thursday night game nights, and I haven't been playing this as much as I've been enjoying it. I haven't been playing this solo when the crew can't get together. I'm just playing it with the 3 of us. I'm still really enjoying it. Sort of like the first game. Still have no idea what the story is here, and it's like the story is fine, but a lot of it is you walk into a room and there's somebody pretty messed up that's like, you need to go kill the heart of the beast, and your options are like, yeah man, cool, or like, I'm not hunting down the beast for you, and my answer is typically, yeah man, cool. So, well, you want me to kill something? Yeah, sure, why not? I'll do that. So I'm enjoying it so far a lot. Just fought another boss of like the end boss of an entire area, essentially. That was a really wild boss, something that just felt like it had about 30 hands. It was like this giant purple boss. This game, I think it did an okay job making cool bosses in the first game, but really nailed it here in the second game. I think a boss like that, the sort of infamous cube boss, is another one that's very memorable. And I wish I had more to say about Remnant 2, but a lot of it is it's still the same kind of third-person shooter, Soulsborne game that the first one was. It's just there's more of it. There's way better quality of life improvements. And it looks way better. It's like an Unreal Engine 5.1 game, I believe. So it looks really good, and I'm playing it on PC. And it's really great. It gets the same recommendation from me that I'm sure these games are fine solo, but if you have at least one other person, preferably 2 other people that you can play this with, play the first one. It's really good, and then move on to the second one after you're done with that if you liked it. Both of them are just they're just good. Like they're a cool game, and it's interesting too because I think when you look at these games, you think, oh well, that's going to be a loot game. And it's really not. You're not picking up a ton of loot, and anytime you do, it's always like, oh, I got a new weapon, and you're intended to upgrade it as opposed to like, oh, well, I got a purple version of this weapon. That's way better. It's not like that. It's like, oh, I got a cool new shotgun. Oh, it just belches lightning. Great. Okay, cool. That seems pretty good. So every piece of loot that you pick up is impactful, and it's not just like, here, I gotta just beat a boss. I got 10 pairs of green pants. Whoopity-doo, here we go. Thankfully, it's not like that. I think that helps this game a lot. So, Remnant 2 is really good. I'm playing it on Game... Yeah, I'm playing it on Game Pass. I was trying to think of, like, where am I playing this? I keep remembering. I'm firing up the Xbox app on my PC, hoping it works, and when it does, yay, we can play Remnant. So, Remnant 2, really great. 2 thumbs up. Go check it out. I like it. Next game here is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I talked about finishing Like a Dragon Gaiden last month, and Infinite Wealth came out here recently. I'm not going to talk about any story stuff here because I don't want to accidentally spoil anything. But so far, I'm really, really enjoying it. I've played this for about 10 hours or so, and I'm in Chapter 3. Seems like I'm going to be finishing up Chapter 3 here pretty soon. If I could stop wandering around Hawaii and doing literally everything I can get my hands on. It's really impressive how much you, as the player, love the main character, Ichiban Kasuga, immediately. Just from moment one that he's back on screen, you're like, yep, there he is. I think on TVGP I called him like the golden retriever of video game protagonists. It's just, he's so easy to love. He's so genuine and just a good person. And we don't really see that often in RPGs. It's usually like, oh, I'm a soldier with a dark past. Don't ask me about it. And it's just like, no, man, I used to be in the Yakuza, and now I want to help a whole bunch of people. So let's go do it. Yay. And I want to be a Dragon Quest hero. Don't forget about that. That's me. So that has been really, really great. And they're doing some interesting things in the storytelling of this game that I think is pretty cool. They kind of set up this big mystery, and then they kind of take a left turn and like, don't worry about that right now. Anyways, off to Hawaii. It's like, yeah, wait, okay, yeah, sure, great. Though, moving from Japan to Hawaii and seeing RGG's take on American culture has so far been really great. Like the first 3 people you fight in Hawaii are like Cole, Connor, and Mitchell. It's just like have regular white dude names. It's really interesting hearing. So when you're playing this game normally and you're in Japan, like all the enemies are kind of doing combat barks like normal, but they don't subtitle them. Otherwise, you'd have like 400 things on the screen all at once. But all of the NPCs in Hawaii speak English, even if you have the game set to Japanese. So you get all of those combat barks. So it's really great when you run into a couple of enemies on the street and the first guy just goes, "I'll sue you." It's just like, great. I love it. This is perfect. So this game so far has been really, really great. I don't know how much I can talk about the story, especially since it just came out, and it relies so heavily on a bunch of stuff that happened in the back half of the previous game, Yakuza Like a Dragon. If you haven't played that game and you're firing this up, I think it does a really good job of giving you the Cliff's Notes of what happened in the previous game and kind of how that matters. Is there's kind of very big story changes in the previous game, and it does a really good job of catching you up. I still would recommend that if you haven't played the previous game to start with that. It's still on Game Pass from what I understand. If not, it's usually like $12 on sale. It's pretty cheap. I think the thing that I've been most impressed by so far with this is they made some pretty substantial changes to the battle system, and I think it addresses a lot of the frustrations I had with the first game. First game's battle system was fine, but in this one of the biggest changes they've made is when you have your character selected and you pick an option. So it spells Sega when you do the option. So it's like spells, etc., guard, and attack. Let's say you're gonna just pick a normal attack and attack the enemy. When you pick that, there's a circle underneath your character, and you can move your character anywhere you want in that circle. It's not super big, to try and orient them into the best position possible. So there's a couple of cool things you can do. The first, most obvious thing is exactly like you would do in the beat 'em up old Yakuza games. You move them next to something that you can pick up and attack with. You have like a little icon where it shows them picking it up. They'll pick up that bike or stop sign or whatever, and then they'll go hit the enemies with it. In the previous game, that was a lot of it just kind of happening by chance. It was a lot of like, okay, well, oh, cool, I just did a whole bunch of damage there, but I can't really repeat that. So now you can kind of set them in the right position. But they also, because you can do that, now when you're attacking an enemy, it will show you the direction they're going to fall once you're done attacking them. And once you do your attack and then they kind of fall, they can knock into other enemies, which does damage to the other enemies and the enemy you just attacked. So if you can kind of set up this the pins correctly, you can do a whole bunch of damage at once with an attack that seems weak on the surface. You can also knock them into stuff in the environment that does additional damage as well. And then, something I didn't realize for a little bit, you can actually attack enemies and push them into your own party members that will then get an extra attack. So if you do like a 3-hit combo, knock them in one of your other party members, they attack the enemy as well. So you're getting like 3 times as much damage all at once. It's a really cool system, and I think it makes, from a battle-to-battle perspective, I think it makes it a lot more interesting. Like I said, it was fine in the previous game, but now there's some more fun stuff you can do, especially with positioning, especially with knocking enemies around, that feels really, really cool. I actually just ran into, now that I've leveled up some on my party, I actually just ran into something, I wrote it down here, it's called the beatdown system. So when you start a battle with enemies that are significantly lower level than you actually hit L2 when you start the battle, and your party members just automatically attack. They knock everybody out in like 2 or 3 attacks, and you just steamroll the enemy. You only get 0.7 times the amount of XP you would normally get, but you just skip the battle entirely, which is I think that's a pretty fair compromise there. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I'm unlocking a ton of systems in this game, kind of over and over. I just unlocked like a social media system, a dating app. I can now play Crazy Taxi in the game with a food delivery bike. It's just, there's a ridiculous amount of stuff. I haven't even unlocked the Animal Crossing system that's in the game. They just made an entire Animal Crossing game and put that in there. I have unlocked the Pokemon system in the game, the Sujimon, which it returns from the last game, but I haven't unlocked the system to battle your Sujimon against other people's Sujimon teams. So there's a ridiculous amount of stuff in this game, and all of it is really, really great. And I'm really, really enjoying it. And I've been trying to play this as much as humanly possible. I've been putting a lot of hours into it on my PlayStation Portal, which has been working really, really nicely. I've been really happy with that, and this game looks really great, runs at 60 frames, and the Portal handles it pretty nicely, which I really appreciate. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on that so far. A lot of my game time so far has been like, all right, I'm supposed to run from one place to another. All right, I'm going to do all the side quests on the way, and we're going to scoop up a bunch of stuff on the ground. I'm going to do all this stuff. Yeah, let's take the taxi once or twice. Woo! Let's go check out the arcade. So all the kind of normal Yakuza stuff. So I'm really enjoying it, and I will hopefully have put in as much time as I can, uh, juggling this game and my next game, which I've played for only about an hour, which is Persona 3 Reload. Um,
Woo.
I I have been very impressed with it so far. It seems to stick very closely to the original so far. There's some stuff here and there that seems like it's been changed a little bit, but nothing really major. Um, the thing that's tripping me up the most is the soundtrack is a little bit different. It sounds like it's all kind of re-recorded versions of the original stuff. So the dorm theme is a little bit different. Like if you remember from the original PS2 one, you'd be listening to it and you're like, yeah, the song's great. Is that somebody rapping in the background? No, that can't. Wait, is that? No, that can't be. Yeah, it is. So the guy singing in the background is a little bit clearer, which is kind of tripping me up. So it doesn't sound like an instrument anymore. But so far it's been really great. I really love the changes they've made to the main menu, especially. That stuff looks really great. If you play Persona 5, it looks very similar to that. One of the more interesting changes I think they've made is, when the game moves from like early morning to after school, they had that kind of splash screen that moves the day along. They changed that to having a hands of the clock motif. So the big hand draws the words, and then the little hand ticks across the screen as it loads, and it does like 2 or 3 ticks, and then moves the day along. It's all these kind of little effects that are really, really good. I am at the point where I've met Igor at the very beginning, and after I got introduced to him and all the contract stuff, that's where I had to finish playing for today. So everything seems really great. I do really appreciate the new content warning screen they have at the very beginning of the game. Just not even when you start the game, but when you fire the game up. It's just like, hey man, we address, it's like significant violence, suicide, and themes of bullying or something like that. It's sort of like, we're not messing around. This is still Persona 3. So if you don't know what's in here, this stuff is still in here. Like the evokers are still in here. It still opens the game with Yukari holding the evoker up to her head and telling her to fire it. Like, it's still Persona 3, which I've seen some people online saying that this would have been a good time for them to take out the evoker in the game, and I feel like that's kind of missing the themes of the game overall.
Yeah,
I think that would.
I don't. It's been interesting reading the different review reactions around the internet. Like, I was pretty excited to play this, and my copy just showed up about an hour ago on my doorstep.
Right.
But like, this game is. I can't remember which specific review I read that said this, but it was like, yeah, this game's about death, man. Like,
Yep.
and I don't. You shouldn't. I don't know. I guess in my 20s, like I was probably a little bit more of an edgelord. So maybe I like the evoker for the wrong reasons. But this is a dark game, and
yeah,
I
it's a very dark game.
They shouldn't, they should just lean into it. Like they touch some really, really hard subject matter throughout this game. So I'm excited to see it go through. Like, it's generally the one I think of as my favorite.
Yeah.
although it's oddly enough the one I've played the least in a way. Um,
Well, that I think part of the original Persona 3 was Tartarus was a really cool dungeon, but I think the further you get away from the launch of that game, the release of that game, I think the repetition shows more and more. Like when Persona 4 launched, we're like, wow, every dungeon has a different theme. They're all kind of thin experiences, but it's like, yeah, man, this one looks way different from the other one. Yeah. I think that Persona 3's original Tartarus was like, okay, this floor's blue. Ooh, this one's green. All right, here we go. So I'm curious to dive into this one. I know they've done a little bit of work in this to keep the repetition down, but there's kind of only so much you can do to Tartarus to just say like, yeah, I mean, before the next full moon, you got to get through 15 floors. Sorry, like you just got to get in there, man.
I read that you don't get sick anymore either, or
I believe
tired.
that's the case, which would be really great.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that was man, that was tough in the first game. The other
Yep.
thing I'm wondering if they kept is your social links could get upset with you if you hadn't spent time with them recently.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I'm hoping that has gone away.
Yeah, and remember the original Persona 3's release, you couldn't command your party members. It was just your main
Oh,
character.
I forgot
So
about that.
I haven't even fought a battle yet. So I'm part of it is like I've been really trying to avoid spoilers for this game, even though I played it whatever it was 20 years ago, because I don't know what they've done to change the story of the game, if anything. Um, so I've been trying to avoid all of that stuff to kind of make sure that I don't get any of that stuff spoiled, and keeping an eye on some stuff here and there, but not a whole ton. But um, I'm excited to dive into it. It looks super great. The voice acting so far has all been really good. It's really weird hearing some of these voice actors not super compressed to hell like in the PS2 version. Everybody sounds really good. Um, translation seems great so far. Everything seems really good. So I'm excited to dive pretty deep into this. So yeah. Oh man. All right, let's move on to the I close my show notes here. Let me open them real quick. Well, let's talk about releases for February 2024. First up is Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. Comes out on the 13th on PS5, series consoles, and PC. Apparently, Don't Nod is making another RPG, which I somehow missed as someone who really likes Don't Nod's game. Also, they just put out another game, that Jusant game that came out last year, so they're pumping out a ton of stuff. But this looks like a third-person hack and slash actiony with a little bit of shooting RPG here, which I shockingly had no idea this was coming out, and now I'm pretty interested because I like Don't Nod stuff. If you don't remember Don't Nod, they made the original Life is Strange stuff. They made Vampire. They made that Jusant game that came out, that climbing game that came out last year. And they're making this Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. I don't. This looks cool. I could be down for kind of a hack and slash RPG thing. So
They
looks
always
neat.
do something interesting. Like I think I've played
Yeah,
most of their games, and I've, for whatever faults those games had, like they always had something interesting going on.
yeah. Like Vampire is not a great game, but it does some really cool stuff. Like they're usually uh, if you're interested in playing a lot of different stuff, like you said, they usually do something neat in each one.
Yeah.
So
Did they do Remember Me? You may not
no,
remember
that was
Remember Me.
someone else. Man, who was that? Was that
No, it is
remember?
Don't Not. Yeah, it totally was Don't
Really?
Not.
Man,
Yeah. So
my
Remember
goodness.
Me was like a really cool futuristic like beat 'em up game where kind of they had this cool music that would kind of go along with your your fights that would kind of increase in intensity the more you got your combos right. But
Right.
like to me, that was another flawed gym that probably doesn't hold up today. But I remember it fondly at least.
Yeah, they did Life is Strange 1 and 2, Tell Me Why, Twin Mirror, Harmony, The Fall of Reverie. They're doing that Lost Records, Bloom and Rage game that's coming out later this year.
So never mind. I have not played most of their games, evidently.
Yeah, they do a lot of cool stuff. I like them. I like their stuff a lot. Next game up here, Dragon Quest Builders comes out on PC on the 13th. This is the first one. The one that came out like 10 years ago, something like that. I could have sworn this was on PC already, but it wasn't, so it's coming out now. It looks like they have backported a bunch of features from the mobile version of this, which also I did not know was a thing, and then Dragon Quest Builders 2. So it's like increased building, crafting features. There's a magic carpet from the second one that you can use to fly. So I'm happy this is coming out on PC. People seem to really, really like this, and I never played it because everybody's like, well, don't worry about the first one because Dragon Quest Builders 2 is incredible. And then I never played that either. So I think I'd like these games. I just unfortunately have never gotten around to playing them. So that comes out on the 13th on PC. Next game here is Last Epoch, EPOCH. I never remember how to pronounce that. Anyways, that's coming out on PC on the 21st. This is a kind of Diablo-like, top-down, isometric-ish hack-and-slash action RPG. This looks pretty interesting. I think the thing that people seem to be... Oops, I have this trailer going on double speed. Sorry about that. I think the thing that people seem really interested in with this game is people keep saying, like, they've fixed trading in these games. And I read some stuff about it, and I genuinely don't understand what they're trying to do, but people seem very excited about it. It's nice to see that we're getting more games like this that aren't Path of Exile, because Path of Exile is incredibly intimidating. So I'm going to keep my eye on this one because I didn't really click with Diablo 4, which was a bummer, but this looks like it's of the same subgenre, so we'll see if Last Epic turns out pretty well. It seems pretty cool. And last but certainly not least, the biggest release of the month, by and large, on the 29th, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out on the PS5. I have been keeping fairly spoiler-free on this one, just because I surprisingly liked Final Fantasy VII Remake and don't want to see too much about this other than maybe like the first one or two trailers they put out. So I am, against all odds, pretty excited for this game to come out. Also, a reminder that it's 2 discs if you buy the physical one, which I think is really great, harkening back to the days of old. The IGDB page has a little blurb here saying that the game will story unfolds culminating in the midpoint from the original Final Fantasy VII. So that's interesting. Got a lot of ground to cover, I guess, literally and not literally here. Are you gonna be scooping this up here on Leap Day?
I think so. I keep forgetting that it's coming out this month.
Yeah, ditto.
It's seeing it in the list today was like, oh crap! How do I? I need to
Oh,
find time.
that's another one. Oh no.
I still need to beat the Yuffie, is that her name, DLC.
I do too. I know it's pretty short. I need to knock that out here pretty soon.
Yeah, like I started it and forgot how combat worked, and it turns out that it's harder to just jump in this game and remember that.
Yep, ditto.
So hopefully they have a nice tutorial on the second one, and we'll go from there.
Yeah,
But
hopefully.
I adored the first one. Red 8, is that his actual name, or is that what I named him originally?
Red
Or Red
13?
13.
Yeah.
That's his name. He's always one of my favorite characters.
Yep.
Because I guess he's a dog. But he's entertaining anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just excited to see what they do. And watching this trailer that is going on while we're talking is like, wait, there's a Segway? Why is Cloud on a Segway? I can get a Segway?
Yeah, this is the
It's,
trailer from the release date announced trailer from about 4 months
yeah.
ago.
I
Yeah,
hope the
good.
parade march is less of a nightmare than the original
That's right.
game.
Hopefully. Yeah, I'm mostly after the previous game, I'm mostly excited to see what they're going to do, especially after the previous game turned out to be a meta commentary on remakes.
Yeah.
And I definitely curious to see what this thing really turns out to be. As
I mean,
I just don't know.
the trailer
So
opens with "The world will be saved, but will you?" It's like, how different we going here, guys?
that's right. That's right. Where are we going with this? Yeah,
I plot twist: Sephiroth kills Cloud, and
that's
well,
right. Oh no. Yeah, so I'm
I,
assuming we'll probably talk about that on next month's episode, because we'll if everything goes well, with shipping and whatnot. Hopefully, we'll at least get a little bit of time in with that. I'll probably make that my priority here after finishing the first one and being like, oh, yeah, so you can spoil a 20-year-old game after doing whatever remake did. So I'm assuming spoilers are going to be flying hot and heavy on the internet as soon as this comes out. So, want to
yeah.
get through most of that before people are like, "Can you believe when X, Y, and Z happened?" And be like, "Oh, thanks. That's so great. Appreciate it. Thanks so much."
Well, and if this goes like, gosh, that trailer, it showed so much. Like, if this is a
Yeah.
giant open world game where they have the whatever that casino place is, like,
Yep.
this is gonna be a long game if all of
Yeah.
that stuff is actually in there.
Yeah. Start freeing up your hard drive space now. It's
Oh,
big.
jeez.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I think I saw today that it was 140 gigs. So that's
I
huge.
need to. I need to buy that. I need to buy a drive for my PlayStation 5.
It's super easy to install. It's really I bought one and it Sony made it way easier than they needed to. It's really great. So
Maybe that'll be a financial priority this month too.
yeah,
Then.
there you go. They're getting cheaper. They're pretty cheap. So
Cool.
all right, well that's all of our releases for this month, and which means we are at the end of our episode. Thank you very much everyone for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right hand side of the page. Musim, where can we find you online?
You can find me at my Linktree, which one of these days I will actually remember, but it's linktr.ee John Musim, JohnMusim, and that will take you to all my things.
There you go. You can find all my shows at e1m1.com. You can also find all my links at campsite.bio/Jansten, JANSTEN. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next month. Bye.